All right, let's get right into it. We're going to break down the core ideas from one of the most famous finance books in the world, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But let's get one thing straight right from the start. This isn't really a book about how to make a ton of money, it's a book about how to understand money. And that's a huge difference.
I want you to just think about that question for a second. Go way back, when you were a little kid, and someone asked you this. What did you say? What was your big dream?
Yeah, for most of us, the answers were probably something like this, right? The usual suspects. Doctor, engineer, maybe a safe government job. You know, these are the respectable, secure paths we're pointed towards practically from birth.
And why those jobs? Well, because this is the script we're handed. It's the advice everyone gives you. Study hard, get good grades, find a good, stable job, and just live a safe life. It's the foundation of everything we're taught. But what if it's not the whole story?
No, really. Just think about it for a minute. Through all those years of school, all the history, all the science, all the math, did anyone ever actually sit you down and explain the real rules of the money game? This is the huge, central question that Robert Kiyosaki asks in Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
And that question right there leads us straight to the book's first major truth bomb. The massive, massive gap between what school teaches you and what life actually requires from you.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Our school system is incredible at getting us to memorize facts, dates, and formulas. It teaches us what to think so we can pass the next test, but it almost never teaches us how to think creatively, to solve the real messy problems that life throws at us.
And here's where you really see that disconnect in action. School is obsessed with your grades, your exam scores, but life couldn't care less about your grades. Life tests you on your ability to manage your money, to handle stress without breaking, and to make huge decisions that don't have a simple answer in the back of a textbook.
So you have to wonder, how did the author figure all this out? Well, it's a pretty incredible story. He learned it because he grew up with two very different father figures in his life, his rich dad and his poor dad.
On one hand, you have his poor dad, that was his actual father, a brilliant guy, highly educated, had a PhD, a great government job, but somehow he was always struggling with bills and stressed about money. Then, on the other hand, you have his rich dad. This was his best friend's father. The guy never even finished the 8th grade, but he understood how money really worked and went on to build an empire.
So what gives? What was the real difference between these two guys? It wasn't how smart they were, it wasn't how hard they worked, it wasn't about their degrees. The answer, the entire answer, comes down to one simple word: mindset. Their whole approach to money and life was just fundamentally different. And this, right here, is maybe the biggest lesson in the entire book. The poor dad mindset would always say, "I can't afford it." That's a statement. It's a dead end. It literally shuts your brain off. But the rich dad mindset would ask a question: how can I afford it? That's a starting line. That question forces your brain to get creative, to look for solutions, to find a way.
And that one simple question, how can I, is the key that unlocks the single most important, practical financial lesson in the book. If you get this next part, it can literally change your financial future.
Okay, so first up, what is an asset? The book's definition is beautiful because it's so simple. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket. It's something that works for you and generates income even when you're not actively working.
And on the flip side, you have a liability. This is anything that takes money out of your pocket. Super simple, right? Here's the problem. Most of us are taught our entire lives to get these two things completely mixed up.
And this is the trap. This is the middle-class trap. We buy things that we think are assets, but they're actually liabilities draining our wallets. That new car, the latest phone on a payment plan, even the big house. We're told our house is our biggest asset, right? But think about it. Every single month, it's taking money out of your pocket for the mortgage, insurance, taxes, repairs. You don't get paid by the house. You pay for the house.
Now, the rich play a totally different game. They focus first and foremost on buying assets, things that will generate income, like a small rental property, stocks that pay dividends, or a business. They build up these assets that put cash in their pocket every month, and then they use that money, that cash flow from their assets, to go buy the luxuries. You see the difference? Their assets buy their liabilities.
So when you don't understand that fundamental difference between an asset and a liability, you get stuck. You get trapped in what the book famously calls the rat race.
And this is exactly what it looks like. It's a cycle. You get a job to earn a salary, but then that salary immediately gets eaten up by bills, by rent, by car payments. Before you know it, the money's gone. So what's the solution? Work harder, get a promotion, a little raise, but then your expenses just magically grow to match it. It's an endless loop. You're just running faster and faster on the same hamster wheel.
And here's the crazy part. The book claims that a staggering 90% of people are caught in this loop. 90%! That's why this isn't just about getting rich. This is about learning the tools you need to escape.
So, as we start to bring this all together, let's go back to the central message. If you really want to change your financial situation, you don't start by trying to get a bigger salary. You start by changing the way you think.
This is probably the most famous line from the entire book, and it says it all. The goal isn't to spend the rest of your life trading your time for money. The real goal is to build or buy assets that make money for you, even when you're sleeping. And that's what this is all about. The real goal of financial education isn't just to have a lot of stuff. It's to achieve financial freedom. It's to get to a point where working is a choice, not something you have to do to survive. It's about escaping that job mindset and building multiple streams of income that give you security and options.
In the end, it all boils down to this one powerful idea. The real gap between the rich and everyone else isn't the amount of money in their bank account. That's just the result. The real gap, the real difference, is in their thinking.
And that leaves us with one last really important question. This explainer, the book, they can give you the map, but you're the one who has to take the first step. So after hearing all of this, the only question that really matters is, where will you begin?